Are you sabotaging your weight loss efforts? Sabotage can show up in a lot of ways. It can be procrastination. I'll just get to it tomorrow or put it off for the weekend. It can show up as lack of motivation. I'm just not feeling it today. It can also be, I know I shouldn't eat this, but here I go again. Or even when we have a program that works, we're seeing results, but then we still fall off the wagon. What's going on with sabotage? It's part of what our mind is running in the background. Hi, I'm Holly Stokes with the Brain Trainer. And in the last 16 years, in working with thousands of clients, in changing habits, cravings, lack of motivation, and sabotage, you start to notice some themes along the way. I'm here to share with you the tools and insights that I've learned, along with actionable steps you can start implementing right away to address and resolve the sabotage of your mind. So let's go ahead and jump in to get started. If you've been sabotaging your weight loss efforts, you're not alone. I'm going to share with you in this presentation some of the common reasons that we sabotage, plus 6 steps to identify and resolve the sabotage of your unconscious mind. Most people recognize a disconnect between what we consciously say we want to do. At our conscious level, we're logical, rational, reasonable adults, right? But it's the unconscious mind. I like to call it the automatic mind because it's in charge of whatever is running automatically. It's the unconscious mind that is running old programs. And if our unconscious mind is not on board with our conscious goals, we find ourselves struggling between the part of me that wants to and the part of me that doesn't. So let's take a deeper look at what's going on with the mind. First off, you might want to know, why listen to me? I'm Holly Stokes, the Brain Trainer. I'm National Guild of Hypnotists trainer and Master NLP practitioner and trainer. Again, over the last 16 years, I've been operating professionally in these capacities, working with clients to change habits, patterns, programs. And I'm also the co-owner of the Life Harmony Wellness Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. I also wrote the book on it. It's called A Lighter You. Let me pull it up for you. Train Your Brain to Slim Your Body. In this book, you'll find 29 or so exercises of NLP. So if you're enjoying the presentation today, this is something you can look up as well to have added resources. And again, I want to just emphasize that over the years of working with folks, we tend to see the same patterns that are reoccurring. Well, it wasn't only true for my clients, but it was also true for me. And here's my story. If you've been struggling with weight loss, I've been there too. Many people have. This is a picture of me on the left before I found the tools of NLP and hypnosis. And my career had changed quite a bit. I was a backpacking wilderness guide. When you're hiking 5 to 10 miles a day, it doesn't really matter what you eat. Your body's going to burn it off. Well, the other thing is I changed from the backpacking wilderness guide and whitewater rafting guide to going back to school to finish my degree, my bachelor's in psychology. With the tools of NLP and hypnosis, I started to recognize, hey, maybe I could release some of this extra weight by using some of the skills that I was learning. And I released 40 pounds with no dieting, no counting calories, no boxed meals, no depriving myself, no exhaustive exercise plan at the gym either. But I did it with getting my unconscious mind on board. And I want to share with you along the way some of where you can look to identify and resolve what your unconscious mind is doing as well. So sabotage, it can feel like I know what I need to do, I just can't make myself do it. It can also feel like part of me wants to, part of me doesn't. And along the way, I'm going to share these 6 keys with you, the layers of the mind to look in to address and resolve. So the first key point here comes from a story. illustrated with a story. I was living in Bend, Oregon. It was me and some gal pals. We were sharing an apartment together. And it was Thanksgiving time. And me and one of my friends, there were 3 of us, me and one of the friends, we went and got a pumpkin pie. And it's Thanksgiving, it's the holiday. So we're sitting down and eating the pumpkin pie. Our other roommate, Kelly, walks by. And I said, "Hey, Kelly, do you want a piece of pumpkin pie?" She says, "Nope, I'm not eating sugar anymore." Okay. She's been pretty good over the last couple days. So we finished up our piece of pie, put it in the fridge. Well, the next morning I come out looking for that pumpkin pie. It's got your vegetables, it's got your eggs, and I'm looking high and low in the fridge. I can't find it. Looking on top of the refrigerator, and Kelly walks by. "Hey, Kelly, did you see that pumpkin pie?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I ate it." Whoa, wait, what do you mean you ate it? There was 3/4 of a pie there. Well, what is going on? When we set up those patterns of deprivation, part of me wants to, part of me doesn't. It's almost like that deprivation comes back with a backlash. And this is actually some of the conflict illustrated when people get into that binging cycle. I'm going to be so strict, I'm never going to do it again. But then what is their mind actually looking for? And so this is where one of those places that we can start easing that struggle. Deprivation doesn't work. And this is largely how we are doing diet and weight loss programs. We're saying, I'm going to be really strict. And then when I get down to my goals weight, when I lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, then I can enjoy those foods or eat that way. So what's happening are people are dieting for a window of time. Maybe we're even losing the weight, but then going back to old habits and patterns, the weight comes back. And we don't want to be in that dieting cycle, that yo-yo cycle of losing weight only to gain it right back plus more. So this is a growing trend in how we are doing diet and exercise programs. This is one of the reasons they're not working. By some estimates, a research study showed that 80% of people who lost weight regained all of it within 2 years. This is from a study at the University of California. 31 long-term diet studies found that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight within 4 to 5 years than they initially lost. And this is a reoccurring pattern. I remember seeing one research study from Stanford said that 96% of dieters, people who are dieting on purpose, actually gained the weight back plus more within 2 to 3 years. Here's another quote, UCLA researcher Tracy Mann. "We concluded most of them would have been better off not going on a diet at all. Several studies indicating that dieting is a predictor of future weight gain." So what's going on with this? People are doing some of the things that are causing some results. They're getting some results in releasing the weight, but then it's coming right back. Part of it is that diet mentality. We think, I'll just do it for this window and then I'll be okay. Then I'll be fine and happy with myself. But what's going on? Well, we haven't really created the deeper level patterns and habit change. The other thing is we want to create habits that are a lifestyle. In fact, this is from Dr. Sherry Lieberman. Create a lifestyle that you can live with rather than going on a diet. We want to continue making healthy habits that support us along the way so we can get off that yo-yo dieting cycle. Also, in dieting programs, people aren't addressing the real things that are going on underneath the surface. At our conscious level, we're logical, rational adults, right? We're adulting. At the unconscious level, our mind has automatic habits, patterns, and programs. Now, one of the ways we're setting ourselves up to fail is just like that phrase, "I'm not going to eat sugar anymore." The don'ts don't translate. So at the conscious level, we all understand English, we understand don't. So don't think of a yellow butterfly, because as you do, it's going to turn blue and fly right out the door. And what did your mind do? Well, it actually pictured that yellow butterfly turning blue and flying right out the door. And this is because our unconscious mind, it's almost like its language is a little bit different than our conscious rational mind. Our unconscious mind speaks in story, imagery, symbolism, metaphor. It has to translate, our unconscious mind has to translate our language into mental pictures. And it's those mental pictures that actually speak directly to our unconscious mind. So the key principle here is language is directing your unconscious mind. If at the conscious level, you're saying, I'm not going to eat sugar anymore, go ahead and say that phrase to yourself and noticing, what does your mind actually picture? Sugar, sugar. Where's the sugar? Oh, I've got chocolate in my desk. Oh, there's ice cream downstairs. Sugar, sugar. So it's actually putting your unconscious mind on hyper alert to notice sugar, focus on sugar, recognize sugar, and look for sugar. And so this is one way we're creating kind of that inner conflict within ourselves, is just the words that we're using, the language. So we want to make sure that the language we're using is brain friendly. Rather than saying, I'm not going to eat sugar anymore, a better way to say it is, I'm choosing healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables. Go ahead and take a moment, close your eyes, say that phrase, I'm choosing healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables. What does your mind picture? Vegetables, fruits. Where's the raspberries? Where's the raspberries? So this is tuning our unconscious mind to actually get on board with the things that we're wanting to create. This works all the time. I often hear people coming in and saying things like, well, I don't want to yell at my kids anymore. What is your mind picturing? Yelling at your kids. What about, I want to lose 20 pounds? This is often very common in how we talk about weight loss. What is 20 pounds direct your mind to? Oh, it's so even though this one doesn't have a negative, still that mental picture, it's directing your mind to notice the weight that you don't want. It feels like the heaviness, the stuckness. But now let's change that phrase. I am becoming healthier and healthier. As you say it, think it. How does it feel? How does it feel in your body? Or saying, I am becoming my ideal healthy weight. How does your body feel about that? How does it feel in your energy, your motivation? All of these play into our motivation as we're cueing our unconscious mind to be on board with our healthy lifestyle. So here's the next step. So we have 6 steps along the way. To recap, number 1 is to understand your unconscious mind, which you already got that down because we recognize that disconnect between conscious and unconscious. And now you know the language of the unconscious mind: story, imagery, metaphor, symbolism. Step number 2 is to shift your language. Create words that are brain friendly, that give your unconscious mind the positive images of what you want it to do. And 3, here's the next step, is to recognize your habits and patterns. So most of us can kind of pinpoint throughout the day where we're tripping up or falling off the wagon, or maybe choosing things that are not so healthy for us. Maybe it's the first thing in the morning when you wake up with your coffee and you grab that extra pastry or that donut or that fritter. Or maybe it's in the afternoon, that lull about 3 or 4. Most people recognize that. Maybe that's the window that you go for a Diet Coke or a candy bar. Now, some people say, oh, Diet Coke's not bad, it doesn't have calories. But the research is actually showing that just the taste of sweet is enough to trip your insulin response, which then puts your body into fat storage mode. There is an article on that on my blog. That's just a quick aside. But as you look through your day, you can probably recognize your problem spots. One thing that you could change along the way to shift or change a habit. So one of the easiest ways to change a habit, or the simplest way to start with, is to replace it. So for example, as you recognize your lifestyle routine that you already have, if you want to be healthier, think of, and here's an example, that afternoon lull, maybe going out for the Diet Coke or the candy bar. What if you had fresh fruits and vegetables on hand? What if you kept them in the office or brought an apple with you to work? That little fruit gives you the pick me up, but it is also giving you the fiber, the phytonutrients, and those microchemical nutrients and enzymes that are helping your body to have that health, energy, vitality, and to combat the antioxidants. So looking for those windows, what can you replace to start changing those habits and patterns? And I suggest doing one at a time. If we're trying to turn over, in fact, I remember my brother saying this, I don't need to just turn over a new leaf. I need to turn over a whole tree. Well, if we try turning over the whole tree, it gets overwhelming. And that's another place where we can be falling off the wagon. It's just too much. Take it one step at a time. Recognize one habit to change and replace it with a healthier option. Now, this slide also illustrates that along with our habits, it's not just that we're doing a behavior, but it's also that our thoughts that we think about it, the feelings that we feel are going into, I call it the thought, feeling, action cycle. There's a whole thing going on in the background of our mind that is keeping the habit in place, or especially in the example of sabotage. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment, going at a deeper level. So step 3 is find just one habit that you can start replacing with a healthier option. Maybe you need sweet at the end of a meal. Well, does it make sense to go get a bowl of ice cream? Maybe you chop it down into half the size of ice cream. Or I get to the point where just having one spoonful of ice cream, I can be good and satisfied with that. So finding that one habit that you can change or replace. So this is all also where weight loss is not one size fits all. And I tell clients when they come in, we like to think that it's a quick fix or an easy solution. We follow this diet, this drink, that drink. But when we look at the deeper level, what is the unconscious mind really doing in the background? It's kind of like a whole tangle of yarns. It's this ball of yarns that all of our patterns, our thoughts, feelings, actions, reactions are all kind of wired in together. And this is another reason it can be really overwhelming. For some people, it can be just simple level habit change. But for most people, if you've really struggled with healthy lifestyle weight loss, there's usually a whole tangle of these patterns. So this is where we're going to deep dive into understanding the layers of the mind and what your unconscious mind is doing. So here's the reasons that we sabotage. Again, we have the image of the iceberg. That's our conscious, active, goal planning mind. At the conscious level, we might be noticing some habits. We can start to recognize what habits to change, to shift, but we start to look at that thought, feeling, action cycle. And we start to recognize as well, okay, when I'm stressed, I then start grabbing for those chips or those pretzels. When I have high stress, high anxiety, that's when I fall off the wagon. So now we're starting to recognize that our emotional system is also kind of behind the scenes causing the cravings or the bad habits or behaviors. Now, sleep can also be another issue. So the ones above the water, these are the ones that most people see and recognize. Sleep, if we're not getting enough sleep at night, well, this ties right into that stress and anxiety cycle. That if we're feeling stressed or anxious, what is our mind doing at night when we're trying to go to sleep? It's running old stories, replaying things, worrying about this, worrying about that. How do we feel? Oh, we're tossing and turning. So we just have a hard time getting to sleep. And when we wake up, we might feel sluggish or tired. So that might be when we reach for those caffeinated beverages, or that's when we might find ourselves making choices that are not healthy, but we're looking for that pick me up. We're looking for that extra energy. And so that sleep cycle can definitely be a factor in this as well. If we get the stress, anxiety under control, then we can get the sleep issues under control. But there's also a deeper level that's going on. Now, as we're looking at the deep dive into the unconscious mind, what is the unconscious mind running in the background that's creating the cravings and our emotional system? What is it running in the background that's actually making the difference in whether we follow through or whether we're falling off the wagon? Oh, this next point is illustrated through one of my stories. And this is from a time, this is many years ago, when I first moved to Portland, Oregon. This is like 2004. I first moved to Portland, Oregon, and I was in sharing a house with some roommates, and I was craving cookies almost every day. I was craving cookies, not just eating cookies. Like, it's one thing to go to a grocery store and get a cookie. Like, that's just totally not worth it. No, I was craving the whole process of making cookies, making them from scratch. I'm cooking them up and making cookies. Well, I had a couple roommates. They're eating cookies. Cookies are coming out of our ears, but there's only so many cookies they can eat. And I've got cookie dough in the freezer. I'm eating cookies. And then I'm like, okay, wait, a couple weeks are going by. I'm busting out of my pants. Holly, what are you doing? You've got to get a hold of this. So I sat with it. At the time, I was going through NLP hypnosis training. I sat with it, and what came to mind was a memory from childhood, that it was dark and stormy outside, and all 5 of us kids were in a warm, cozy kitchen, laughing, talking, and ding, 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 eating chocolate chip cookies. So this memory file was influencing my experience for, or that need for chocolate chip cookies. So I recognized when I grew up in Utah, so Utah is sunny 360 days out of the year. It can be snowing and still be sunny. But when I moved to Portland, it's rainy almost as often as Utah is sunny. So every time, you know, when we were in Utah, as kids, when it was rainy, we get these huge thunderstorms and it is crazy weather. Those are the days we're inside eating chocolate chip cookies. But when I moved to Portland, my brain is going, it's cookie time, because rainy days meant cookie days. So this is one pattern. Now, this is a association that my brain learned over time, and that's one level of it. But there's also a deeper level. Thinking of, at the time, I was in Portland. My boyfriend was 90 minutes away. I was in a new school, didn't know anybody. I had roommates, but they had their own lives, so they didn't have a lot of time. And I was going to school. I recognized the deeper need, the deeper emotional need behind these cookies was my unconscious mind was saying cookies mean family. Cookies mean love and connection. But cookies also mean I'm talented. And I tell you, I still am. I just don't have the craving for chocolate chip cookies that I had back then. So one thing I recognized in replacing this craving, because my unconscious mind is trying to help me. It's like, oh, you're lonely. Let's look for foods that mean connection, association, and fun. So it's going through those memory files and it's saying, oh, cookies make us happy, right? However, we don't have to eat cookies to feel that sense of love and connection. We can create activities that help us feel that love and connection in other ways. So I started to call my family members one a day throughout the week. There were 7 of us. So the whole week I had covered, I just called to check in with a different family member every day. And that took the edge off of the loneliness, that I could feel connected and well-adjusted in my new school as I was making new friends and new social connections. So this is another way to replace your cravings. One, you can think of an activity that can help shift the emotional reason, I call it an emotional driver. Behind every craving, there is something the unconscious mind is trying to get for us. We look for, what is it trying to help us do? Usually it's about changing how we feel. And we can do that by creating other activities in our life. But if you're working with an NLP coach or a hypnotherapist, we can also do that with the thoughts that we think. We can just think about connection and love, and then we can tap into it and even set up new brain habits to help us allay those underlying emotions that are causing the cravings. All right, so you might even get a blank sheet of paper, and on the left side, write, what are the foods that you crave? And then on the right side, write, what are the meanings behind these foods? What are those associations behind those foods? And then how you can recognize your unconscious mind is actually trying to help you. It's trying to help you shift a feeling so that you can feel better, so that you can enjoy life more. I don't know how many times I've heard that chocolate is love, that birthday cake means celebration and fun, or Thanksgiving pie is family and connection. So our foods have history and association and meanings attached, and that will help you decode your cravings. Now we go into a deeper dive. This is beliefs and mental blocks. Now, this comes from a story. One of my colleagues in Vancouver, Washington, shared this story that he'd been overweight most of his life. He'd been overweight, but hadn't really noticed it. And then as he was going through NLP hypnosis training, he started looking at himself in the mirror, and kind of the thought was coming to mind, maybe I am a little heavier than I need to be. Maybe I am a little heavier than my body would like. And so he sat with that, and he noticed a memory coming to mind, that he was bullied by older kids when he was 9 years old. And what his mind said at the time, if only I were bigger, they couldn't pick on me. His mind was saying, if I were bigger, then I could stand up for myself. So his mind couldn't make him taller, but it made him wider and heavier and bigger, taking up more space. But through time, the unconscious mind doesn't get the updates. So the unconscious mind created this old program. I need to be bigger to stand up for myself. But he didn't recognize that he grew up, that he was 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, became an adult. It's still running an old program. Now, this is what beliefs, I call them mental blocks, are actually doing at your unconscious mind. It's running an old program. And we can talk about it till we're blue, but at the conscious level is not going to change what the unconscious mind is holding on to unless we're addressing it at that unconscious level. So once he changed this belief pattern, recognizing that he was an adult and coding that in a way that the unconscious mind could hear it, recognize it, and take it on, then he was able to release the extra weight. He released about 30 or 40 pounds, and then it was not even a problem for him. He could maintain his weight easily just by doing things that he knew is healthy and taking care of his body. Now, your mental blocks and belief patterns might be very different from someone else's. So again, this is where that's kind of like that tangle of yarns. We all have different history. We all have different backgrounds that we came from. Our parents had different parenting styles or different messages along the way. So Rich, his thought was, if only I were bigger, then I could stand up for myself. But there, I wanted to share this other client. She had an aunt, Aunt Nora. Oh, sorry, Aunt Lila. We're calling the client Nora. Of course, the names have been changed. So Nora recognized that she had an aunt that was overweight, Aunt Lila. And it was Aunt Lila that was the only one that really had time for her. So when Aunt Lila came to visit, she loved going, sitting with Aunt Lila, getting that big warm hug, and just getting that presence of connection with Aunt Lila. She just soaked it up as a kid. And she knew as a kid, I want to be like Aunt Lila. Well, in her young mind, Aunt Lila meant being overweight now meant I'm more lovable. I'm more loving. I'm more lovable. So you can see how these unconscious programs can get kind of stuck or caught. And it's not, the unconscious mind doesn't necessarily have logic, right? It doesn't get the updates, but it's creating these automatic programs. Another client, and one more thing to illustrate here with the story of Nora, that some of our patterns, they don't have to be really negative events that have happened. They can just be some of those associations that our mind has made. Another one to share is Rita. She recognized that when she started getting down to her healthy weight, that she would just get cravings. She'd want to go eat a burger and fries. And what was going on in her story, her history, as we looked at it, that when she grew up, her parents were kind of negligent. There just wasn't enough food in the house. That when food came in, you had to eat it right away. And so her mind was running this pattern. There's not enough food. I need to eat as much as I can now or save it for later. Of course, if your body is storing food as fat, it's not really helpful. And the unconscious mind doesn't recognize that now as an adult, you're in charge of your choices and your fridge is full of food. It just continues to run those old patterns. So here's another way to start looking at what is that weight loss? Where did your mind pick up this pattern? And these are the things that, and here's a way we can identify those blocks, because sometimes they feel hidden. Sometimes they're not obvious to us, but here's how we can do it quickly. So the conscious level, we're logical, rational, but the conscious level is also much slower at processing, where we have to think and reason, weigh and judge. We need a reason for an answer, but the unconscious mind is actually very fast. Instantly, we can have a response. So I want you to notice, scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like to exercise? Notice the first thing that pops into your head. That very first response is what your unconscious mind is holding. Now, our unconscious mind, it's operating off of the grand memory files, all of our history, but it's kind of like a supercomputer. It can sum up the positives and negatives and give us an instant response. So in that quick example, motivation for exercise, where's your motivation? That number that your mind came up with is actually based on your whole history. It includes the times when you had, great teammates and camaraderie with maybe a sports team, but it also includes all the times that you have punished yourself at the gym or been like, I'm going to do this, and then getting yourself exhausted and not feeling well, even those times as well. It can also be if you were forced to wear little shorts and then feeling embarrassed as you're running around the football stadium, as a teenager. It includes your whole history. So here's one way to identify your mental blocks. Now on that piece of paper, and you can pause this and go through it. I'll take you through this a few times, and it's going to help bring those to mind very quickly, so at least you know some of those mental blocks that you're dealing with. So on your sheet of paper, write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll walk each one through 6 times. When I take my clients through this in the office, we go through each one 10 times. Again, notice that very first thing that pops into your head. Fill in the blank. I keep the extra weight because, first thing that comes to mind. And you can, of course, pause the video if you need to. I keep the extra weight because, first thing that comes. I keep the extra weight because. 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 Okay, so maybe some positives in there, but maybe some negatives in there. Now, the next one, we're going to change the wording a little bit, which cues your unconscious mind in a different way. I need the extra weight because, first thing. Now, sometimes your conscious mind's going to argue with you. I don't need it, right? But this is not a conscious process. We want to pay attention to what the unconscious mind is saying. So again, very quickly, I need the extra weight because, first thing. I need the extra weight because. 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 All right, now go back, look through your list. Here's kind of the challenge. We probably have positives and negatives. Our unconscious mind, it has its reasons for running its programs, for doing what it's doing. Some of these are old belief patterns. Some of these are mental blocks. But the stickiest issues that your unconscious mind will hold on to are definitely around safety and protection. So if I keep the extra weight so that I can feel safe, here's an example. One of my clients recognized that she had gone through a divorce many years before. It was a pretty horrible experience, a lot of fighting and conflict. And what her mind said was, I'm never doing that again. So she started to gain this extra weight to keep her safe from dating, to hold her back from dating so that she wouldn't create that experience again. So these are the deeper patterns that we really must help the unconscious mind change and resolve if we really want to get that positive result. If we want to end that kind of cycle of conflict within ourselves, we need to dive to that deeper level and help those parts of the mind embrace, embody that we're safe, that we can find paths of safety, that we can create safety in our life. Oh, so here's the sixth key principle, is to recognize the I ams that you're saying in the background of your mind. What do you say to yourself about the extra weight? Oh, I just can't do it. Okay, as you say that to yourself, it might feel true. I just can't do it. But what's it doing to your energy? What's it doing to your motivation? It's shutting you down and making you feel stuck. If I can't do it, I can't move forward, blah, blah, blah. The mind is not getting it, right? But it's that stuck energy. Now, our words have energy attached. They have power. So one is to start switching some of these things you might be saying to yourself. Any of the I am statements that we're saying to ourselves, our unconscious mind will hold on to those more deeply because it's about who we are. It helps to define who we are, even if we don't like it. I'm just lazy. I'm just lazy. I'm just undisciplined. What are the other patterns? I had one client come in. Well, this has happened multiple times. Clients have said, oh yeah, I was the fat one in my family. Oh, I was the fat one. Well, if your mind's taking that on as a 5 or 6-year-old, it's going to continue running that program, right? And one way that I like to explain it is, think about a 5-year-old brain. They're just soaking everything up, and their brain is like a sponge. They're learning new language, but also complicated social cues. They're learning so much information, and they don't really have a good filter. So for the 5-year-old brain, if mom comes home and yells, the 5-year-old brain doesn't say, oh, she must have had a bad day. The 5-year-old brain says, oh no, it's me. I'm wrong. I'm bad. And then we take on these negative messages. Even if it's kind of joking that our unconscious mind doesn't get it, it's still taking on the old pattern. I remember in my family, I was teased for being chubby as a kid, but my mom had some really good languaging. She said, oh, that's okay. You're pleasingly plump and you'll grow out of it. It's just a phase. You're going to grow out of it for sure. So I'm sure that really helped my mind to continue being active and happy and feeling good about everything. Now, here's another one, an I am statement that is, by the time people come in for hypnosis, they'll say, I've tried everything and nothing's worked, right? So kind of that sense of past failures. Even I've failed every diet program, or feeling like I'm a failure. That heavy energy, that's where we feel stuck, right? So we want to help the mind reframe this in a way that is more well adjusted to the changes that we want to make. So that's why I have this little girl here on a bicycle. Think of a 6-year-old child. If you gave them a bicycle, how many chances did they get to learn to ride the bicycle? Well, they get as many as it takes, don't they? And if they fall off the bicycle, would you say that they had failed? No. because they're still in the process of learning and growing and figuring it out. And even when they fall off the bicycle, their brain is making calculations and adjustments about motor movement, muscle control, coordination, and balance. And the next time they get on the bicycle, they're even more prepared to be more successful. In fact, they become more and more capable with every try. That example, I love how it's illustrated, comes from Rich Adelot in Vancouver, Washington, one of my colleagues. And I just loved it so much because it really outlines that life is a process, whether it's a diet program, and let's get away from the idea of diet program, right? Let's think of it in healthy lifestyle habits. We want to create the lifestyle that we can live with that supports our healthy life, our health, our energy, our vitality. So getting away from that, even though we feel like we failed, we want to recognize with all the learning that you've been doing, in recognizing what works, like deprivation doesn't work, in recognizing what doesn't work for you and what does work for you, well, now your mind can start to focus on recognizing and identifying what works so that you can do more and more of what's working, just like riding a bicycle, right? If we fall off, well, we're still learning. We're still engaging that process. I also have scripts that I've developed that helps the mind to recognize, everything in life is this process of learning, adjusting, growing, and figuring it out. Whether you're playing a musical instrument, whether you're riding a bicycle, whether you're learning a language, whether you're taking care of your health and your body, whether you're managing money or using money in ways that truly serve you, whether you're making friendships or having that positive, supportive relationship. Everything is a process. So we want to put it into, rather than a destination, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, into process. I am creating my healthy lifestyle. Here's another one I really like to help people take on is I am becoming healthier, with more vital energy. I am becoming healthier and healthier. I am feeling better in my body. I am the sort of person who cares for my body. So these are examples of some of these negative ideas, especially these I am statements that we might be holding on to. Again, at the conscious level, we may recognize they're not true, but it's the unconscious mind that is running them as an old program. Even I've always been heavy. Well, usually people can recognize a window of time when they started to gain weight. Most that there's a window. Even if your family is overweight or you come from heavier people, there's usually a window where your body starts to take on those patterns. And that's just who I am. We want to get away from that. Again, start switching out those I am statements. I am becoming. That's one phrase that I really like because it illustrates that everything is a process. I am becoming. Sometimes people try to do those affirmations. I am thin. I am thin. And then our mind starts arguing. No, you're not. What about this? What about that? It kind of argues. So we can switch that by moving it into process. I am becoming healthier. I am becoming more aware of my food habits and choices. I am caring for my body more and more. So the more and more is a little hypnotic languaging that gets the mind to start generating more of that. I am becoming healthier and healthier. So be the detective. Some of these patterns can be pretty hidden, kind of tricky. When did you first start gaining weight? As you look through your history, maybe there's a life event. Oh, I was in grade school and my family moved. My family moved to a new school. I had a hard time making friends or fitting in. Okay, there's probably something there that the unconscious mind is holding on to. What's happening in your life the year before this, before the weight gain happened? And then just asking, sitting with yourself, what's getting in the way for you? So this can all bring up some of what your mind is holding on to that you can then change or shift or clear so you can get to the other side where healthy lifestyle is easy and natural. You're enjoying moving your body, feeling good about yourself. So I have the free 7-day e-course, Change Habits and Cravings with Your Brain. You can get that for free on my website at alighteryousystem.com/free. You is written out, Y-O-U. alighteryousystem.com/free. Now, you're going to get tools along the way, but in the bigger system, it includes my 2 books, A Lighter You, Train Your Brain to Slim Your Body, but also A Lighter You Health Coach's Guide, which I'm renaming to Healthy Eating Made Simple. What I noticed along the way is my clients were, oh yeah, I'm great at calorie counting. I can tell you the number of calories in everything. And I know that if I eat this Snickers bar, I'm not going to eat dinner. But wait, what? This is not doing you any favors. And in this book, it talks about how to start eating healthier, but making it really simple so that it's, getting away from the processed foods, white sugar, white flour, all of those comfort foods, finding better substitutes or replacements for those foods, but also really enjoying food. I am a fan of food. I love food. In fact, I would call myself a foodie. And I think healthy food should taste good. There are amazing ways that you can cook and prepare food that makes it healthy and useful for your body, full of those vitamins and nutrients, but also tastes amazing. And I've also created a Lighter You Mind, Body, Weight Loss Hypnosis CD set. This includes 6 of the essential foundations that you need for helping your mind and body get on board with healthy lifestyle and weight loss. And just to mention, it's really that whole tangle of threads. So this is where working one-on-one with a hypnotherapist, NLP coach or practitioner that can really help you focus in, dial in on what these underlying patterns are for you, and to get really specific, because it can be very varied across one person to another. Along the way, I've also created a training program for NLP coaches and hypnosis professionals. I teach and train NLP and hypnosis professionals to change habits and cravings, boost motivation, identify clear mental blocks, resolve that unconscious sabotage, learn how to detangle that ball of yarns and get the mind and body on board with healthy lifestyle, and how to, as well, attract clients and grow your practice. So if you're a practitioner and you want more information, you'll also get the scripts that are in my hypnosis script book as well to help support you making the difference for your clients. So how do you find that? You can find it at alighteryousystem.com/free. I would suggest starting with that and then reaching out to me and asking me about the next training. There's a next training coming up, HT Live, where I'll be training at that hypnosis conference in Vegas. Great fun program. International hypnotists from all over the world come together and train and teach and share their skills and what these tools are that they've learned with their clients. So as the brain trainer, I also created the A Lighter You brand. And as I mentioned before, weight loss can range from simple to complicated, but I am here for you. Feel free to reach out with questions. You can email me, Holly, Holly, at thebraintrainerllc.com. You can also join the Facebook group. Go to Facebook, search A Lighter You NLP Hypnosis. So that direct URL is facebook.com/groups/A Lighter, LIGHTER, UYOU NLP Hypnosis. You can check it out there. It's free to join there and connect with tools, tips, and also healthy lifestyle recipes that you can start using. So I hope you found some great insights and also some skills to start applying to yourself. Changing your language, understanding your unconscious mind could be running habits and patterns, how to decode your cravings, kind of at a simple level. We do a deeper dive into the course work as well. And also how to start recognizing some of those pesky beliefs that are actually causing that sabotage. They're responsible for us falling off the wagon or not being motivated. So thank you so much for sharing this time with me. And here's to your health, happiness, and success. Again, feel free to reach out, Holly at The Brain Trainer, LLC at limalimacat.com. And I look forward to talking with you soon. Thanks. We'll see you next time.